web series and why do it now?
I think one of the things that really bums me out is I don't think people take web series seriously. I think that web series represents a new genre. It's a new, in the same way that television was a new format when cinema was around, the same way cinema was a new format when theater was around. I think online, directly download, video type of content is something new that people haven't really been taking seriously. Because I think a lot of people doing web series, they do it just as a stepping stone to another project, or they do it. They're like, oh, okay, it's a web series. We can be cheap. We can just skimp out on it because it's only for the web. I don't think you can't make anything good if you don't take what you're doing seriously. And I think there's opportunity there. For us, we saw, these last 2 years have been building up this audience, and everybody's saying, let's do a longer form. You guys should do a longer form project. And in the course of building that up, we realized it's like, we can go direct to them. We can make a series, a project, whatever it is for the audience directly. We cut out all the middlemen in between. And so that's way more interesting. That's infinitely more interesting to be able to kind of define what this new online video world looks like, and not have to sort of plug right back into the traditional studio models.
Yeah, coming into the film industry, you constantly hear horror stories of people's projects. You're like, oh, it was great, and then this happened, and all these things got changed, and it got messed up, and it's not the director's fault, it was this. Mm-hmm. But we felt like this is the first opportunity, potentially the first opportunity ever, where you can push something out directly to the audience. Whereas if it's good, it's the responsibility of the filmmakers. If it's bad, it's the responsibility of the filmmakers. And for the first time, you can push something directly to the audience and just have creative control, that unlimited creative control, and really just make a piece of content for everyone to enjoy.
You will not study physics. You will study physics engines. You will not study art. You will study the art of war. You will learn about biology by bathing in the blood of your enemies. Sound good? Then welcome to Video Game High School.
It's kind of interesting. It's like, because, we had one of our good friends, Matt, and our friend Brian, who was from the guy who started 5 Second Films, and Will. Those guys are the writers on. We're talking to them about it. It's like, what are some of the challenges for writing for the web? And it's a lot different than, it took a very long time to sort of get the structure down. And what it ended up being like very tight thriller writing, like where every 10 minutes or every episode something needs to happen. It needs to build to a climax, it needs to have a resolution and then a cliffhanger to the next episode. And a lot of times you can't afford a lot, on TV or movies, where it's like, here's a 10-minute block where it's just dialogue scenes to set something up. You need to build to something every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes in order to keep the pace going, in order to keep people interested in it. So it's an interesting sort of experiment to see how that'll play when you sort of like lay it all out. But every episode is designed to be like, okay, here's something really cool that happens in that episode, and here's a reason to keep watching, and here's the next episode. And the stakes go higher and higher each time. So structure and writing is a very interesting side of Video Game High School, because I think inherently in that format, there's a lot of different things that you have to do. You can't necessarily just stick with 3-act structure or the sort of traditional TV structures.
We're drawn towards the idea of VGHS because it really ties into a lot of the things that we had as kind of a common experience growing up, which are the whole video game culture as that's evolved, and really the idea of kind of it's a lot of our work up to this point has been video game inspired themes, stuff like that, and so it really made sense for the audience to create something that is a larger world built around video gaming and kind of an alternate reality.
Looks like you pissed off the law. He's the greatest player in the school.
You're a marked man, Brian. Just like this pizza. Everyone wants a piece of you.
We can't really hang out anymore.
The school took a risk on you, Brian. You let us down.
Just face it, Brian. I've got the looks. I've got the brains.
I've got the girl of your dreams. Essin' my D. Styling my do.
Oh, damn.
It's funny because if we were doing VGHS right now, going to Kickstarter would be the most obvious decision. with where to get the funding. But at the time, a year ago, when we were
less than
a year ago, 6 months ago,
6 months ago,
when we went to do the Kickstarter, like it actually, we were thinking like, what if we could do we'd heard of Kickstarter, like what if we did crowdsource financing for that? Would that work for this, for that? And it's like, now obviously
Kickstarter
it's obvious.
blew up. So for us now, it's a matter of once you do the Kickstarter, you now have to fulfill for that audience and make sure that they get what they're going for, and they're not have to wait a year to see anything. So we've been working our tails off trying to get it done.
One of the pillars of Kickstarter in our minds, in order to do crowdsource financing, is that you can't work on the regular time frame that a feature film works on. You couldn't do a Kickstarter for Transformers 4 and then 2 years later have Transformers 4 come out. It's like that. It'd be ridiculous for the audience. And so the key is now, obviously it takes time to make a quality piece of work. So the key is how to reduce the amount of time between Kickstarter and the release of the product so that it's still fresh in people's minds, so people aren't asking where the heck is it, what's going on.
You're telling me you have one last shot at your dream and you're just gonna walk away?
Looks like your fable ends here. It's not about getting back in, it's about one last chance to play with the best of the best. You know what gaming's about, Brian? It's all about the game. Boom! Four-way high five!
Get busy fragging or get busy dying.
The law has entered the game.
Game over, man. Game all over our faces. How crowded as that kid can play.
I hate that kid.
So after Video Game High School, we have big plans. We have our usual sort of weekly shenanigans. We also have longer form series, some of which we are unfortunately not allowed to talk about at the moment, but they are very cool.
Yeah. We're going to continue to do long form content, continue to do short form content, and everything in between, and really just make more fun stuff to watch.
Yeah, and we're in addition sort of to what we're doing on YouTube, we're going to start a site called rocketjump.com. That's going to be where some of so we're going to find some content creators. We're going to start doing sort of series content on there. It's a blog, so we can finally just start writing about some of this. All the podcasts, we'll bring the podcast back. We do a podcast that people seem to really like, but we have sort of fallen out because we were so busy with other stuff. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming down the line.